and welcome to Affected, a podcast from Meet. For those of you who don't know Meet, we are a global life sciences talent provider. We've been connecting the industry for over a decade, and now we want to share some of our insights and experiences with you. We'll be hosting monthly episodes, sharing thoughts from our leaders and industry professionals about job hunting and hiring in life sciences, as well as giving our network a platform to share their own experiences of building successful careers in an industry that affects us all.
Hi guys, and welcome to episode 4 of Affected, and this week I'm joined by two absolute Goliaths of the the life sciences recruitment industry with Nick Antonelli and Alistair Shaw. Can you just tell the guys sort of a little bit about how you got into recruitment, your sort of recruitment story, and how you got to where we are now?
Sure. I'll go first, maybe, Nick. You good with that? My story, okay. How long have you got? I have been in recruitment for 17 years now. Started in IT recruitment, a couple of years in that, then straight into life sciences for the last probably 15, 16 years or so. So we've been in it a long time. Luckily enough to say I'm one of the founders of Meet, so been here from day one, 2009, which was literally 3 days ago. 2 days ago, 1st of October. Yeah, 1st of October is when we started the business. Through that whole time, I've kind of covered everything almost. Most of the majority of markets that we work within in the drug development space. Permanent division director, contract division director. I lived in New York for 2.5 years, helped grow out the team there from a team of 8 when I flew over there in March 2016. Grew that to a team of about 40 alongside Laith. Then I moved to Chicago for a year, spent a year there as an interim role before coming back to the UK in 2019. I now, fast forward to today, I now head up our global partnerships division, which is essentially where we kind of ring fence our big accounts. We ring fence the accounts that hire in volume across countries, across, globally, a few of them, kind of North America and Europe, and further afield too. And we've just started to tag into that some of the program and RPO type of recruitment that we're stepping into now. So, very exciting times to be part of the partnerships group, a growing division, both here and in North America as well.
And a fellow long-time Chicago Bears sufferer as well.
Unfortunately, and I even chose to be a Chicago Bears fan. I wasn't even forced to be that. Obviously, having lived there, I felt an affinity to the Bears.
We're regretting it now slightly?
So yeah, slightly. I mean, I was in New York, obviously, and you got the Jets, the Giants. I'm not sure they would have fared any better, to be fair. So, the Bears hopefully will come good.
I hope so. What about you? Nick?
It's tough to follow that, Ali, if I'm being honest. I've been here, it's 11 years now, actually. So I did sales for a couple of years. I was actually selling alcohol to pubs and clubs, going up and down the country. I was basically a car salesman, giving out beer mats before the world of recruitment called me. I think I was employee number 12 when I joined Meet.
You'd have to look at your employer number on the payslips. We used to have those, right? We used to have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
I mean, I think 12 in the office, but probably 40 by the time we regurgitated.
Probably. Yeah.
Employee number 12, and I actually joined to start the biometrics desk, which very quickly turned into starting the contract team with Ali and one other at the time. Quickly realised I'm not a contract recruiter.
You're all right. You're okay.
I did all right. Vesna Roth, I remember. You always remember your first placement. Vesna Roth of CRA in Australia for worldwide clinical trials.
Nice.
So my role's really been focused predominantly in the London team, growing our permanent side of the business. I was really fortunate to play a key role in launching our Berlin business in 2019. And more recently have stepped into a European client services role where really looking to connect the dots within some of our clients. I think we've got a team of people who've been amazing at opening up doors, bringing on new business, but telling the story, selling the story of what Meet do, where we can support, how we can guide clients through what is a challenging recruitment market at the moment. My role is stepping into our European business and really seeing if I can get closer to some of our key clients and tell some of those stories to make sure that we're partnering better with our life science partners.
And that DACH region is a really exciting sort of place for life sciences at the moment. I went over towards the end of last year and didn't realise just how many new startup sort of businesses were just booming over there.
It's huge. It's what's so exciting about the life sciences industry. I think when I joined Meet, we probably didn't realise what type of world was out there, and it's so innovative. Some of the companies we're working with now hadn't even started. Some of our biggest clients now are younger than Meet are as a business, and that innovative space of the life science industry, what makes it so exciting. It's the landscape's continuously changing. I think you see new hubs, new countries, new geographies, always growing, and yeah, I think that's probably what keeps it interesting for us after all these years.
I think as well, like I think the agility that we show as a business is really important with that, because whether it's a CRA contractor in Belgium, or whether it's a perm project manager in the UK, there's different dynamics to each piece of recruitment there, culturally, compliance wise, and equally we've got to learn those things as we go a lot of the time. So it keeps us on our toes, definitely. It keeps us engaged probably in what we do, and you never know where the next hub of life science recruitment will come out. Like, for example, in the last year or so, Armenian statistical programmers has gone crazy. Now, you asked me 2 years ago whether Armenia was going to be a hotbed of statistical programmers, I would have said no. But for whatever reason, it is, and we've got to adapt, learn the contract culture there, learn the kind of society culture in Armenia. Haven't done very little there previously, but our clients are calling out for people in those types of countries suddenly. So it keeps us on our toes. Obviously we've got a massive great support structure here of the operations and the hub team that really helps with all of that. But it's definitely an exciting time to be in life sciences. It's ever changing. Definitely challenges that come with that through the last 12 months, but nothing that you can't navigate and overcome with the right attitude.
So today I want to talk to you guys about a lot of the content I push out is very much why you should work with us, why you should work with a recruitment company, but we don't really talk about how, sort of like good practice around working with someone like Meet, for example. So first off, I'd like to talk around and we just talked about how life sciences is a space that's sort of constantly adapting and evolving, and I just want to talk about like how we navigate that specialized nature that is life sciences, and sort of how a recruitment agency such as ourselves can effectively match candidates with the intricate requirements that our clients are looking for, and finding sort of that perfect fit for them.
I think you've got to be curious. I think if we got stuck in our ways and said this is how you do it, we'd be left behind as quickly as we come up with a new idea. I think having that curiosity to learn about businesses, what makes a good candidate for one company could be very different to the other. What makes a smooth recruitment process for one business could be very different for the other. I think having that curiosity to go and learn and listen and adapt is probably the most vital part of what we do, because I can't think of many processes that are like for like. Can't think of many candidates that are identical replicas of the previous ones that we've placed, and it makes it challenging 100%. If I look at the number of companies that are trying to break into the life sciences industry, it's such a great space to work in, but it's not easy, and you've got to have that ability to be curious, to ask questions, to learn and really adapt to be able to deliver the service that's required ultimately, because it changes consistently. I don't know what your experience. I mean, you've got longer in it than me, but you've seen it change so much.
I've seen many ups and downs.
Yeah.
I think look, pharmaceuticals, life sciences, our sector, it's candidate dry, right? We all know that there's 60% shortage of CRAs, there's a 40% shortage of CPMs, there's a shortage of programmers, biostatisticians. Our world is hard to find. I mean, that's just the way it is. I think how we adapt, or how we work through our processes of headhunting is really important. Very thorough, very considered, professional and considered, but, very thorough and in depth in terms of understanding what a good candidate would look like, and then making sure that hopefully they're aware of that opportunity in some capacity, even if they're not looking for the job in that moment. That's you're looking for a response. I think outside of that, of course, we align ourselves vertically to specialisms. We make sure our recruiters feel like they're truly in their markets. It's not just everyone does everything here. A pool of jobs come in and people just dip in and out of certain roles. Of course, we want people to build up knowledge. We want people to build up the candidate base, that they can to dip into really quickly and really effectively with the clients that they're discussing and talking about, having been curious about the role, about the job, about the company, about what makes them tick, so you can match a candidate, not just on skill set, but equally on, personality, on soft skills, on is this person going to last at this company? We're not an agency who want to just place a candidate for 3 months and say thank you very much for our fee. We're an agency who want people to last for years and years, have a good experience with Meet, come back to Meet when they become a hiring manager, come back to Meet when they maybe want to move again in the 2, 3, 4 years.
I think that's what's been so fascinating as well. When I made this shift in my role recently, what I've been trying to do is understand what are we good at. And what's amazing is the amount of longevity we have in the people we place. More and more so when I talk to clients, they talk about retention, they talk about wanting to make the right hire that lasts. I don't know what the stats are, it's something like ridiculous, average 10 years, 2 years per role, per company. And that seems crazy to me, because the ability to hire, train, develop and retain should be absolutely crucial, and a good recruiting partner should play a really important part in that. And what I found amazing is, through my sort of research, deep dives into some of the work we have been doing, the retention rates within the businesses we place into is phenomenal. And that's probably credit to the teams and their ability to listen and learn, because it's not just placing a skill set, which is difficult in its own right, but it's placing the soft skills, the personality, the cultural fit, and everything else that goes into making a hire right. And I'd like to say, touch wood, we do it more often.
Yeah. I'd say we do, definitely, with the longevity, as you say, about the candidates that we're placing. I also think, a lot of recruiters, and we try and certainly work through this with ours, is a lot of recruiters are so in the space of the immediacy of now, like the short-term win of placing a candidate, which sure, we talk about numbers, we talk about, your deals on the board, etc., and all that type of thing. But I think as you get older in recruitment, as the years go by, 3, 4, 5 years, let's say, you start to realise that, and this is my advice to a lot of people, is that one deal doesn't make or break your career, right? So forcing a candidate into something could be more detrimental mid to long term than that placement fee that you get, because they probably leave within 3 months. You won't get the placement fee anyway. They'll probably damage your reputation in that client. And that candidate will never come back to you, having forced them into it anyway. So it's just a whole host of negatives that come from that one thing that you're trying to really, really, really force. So there's a balance of looking at that and saying, well, look, can I find comfort in the mid to long term win that I could have here? Whether that is, sacrificing a bit of your fee at certain points to get a win-win with the client, right? Or whether that's, overlooking the fact that last job didn't come through for you and then working the next job in the same way. There's a whole different range of ways that you can look at that. But I think a lot of recruiters in the first few years particularly, and I get it because I was the same, but they really, really hone in on focus on that immediate short term, can I get a win here? And actually you want to be looking at win-wins. In any business, any B2B, scenario or relationship, you want to create win-wins as much as you can. And if you can do that more and more and more in recruitment, then you'll only be in a good place long term. If you don't think about that, if you're only looking at the win from your side, and that's the only person who feels like they're winning in that placement, you're probably not going to have that relationship for very long with that client, that candidate, whoever it is.
I think that's credit to the business you and Hannah have built, though, because even from day one, I was a little bit sceptical when I got into recruitment, having never worked in it before. Yeah, you hear absolute horror stories, and I reckon they probably still are true today, but from day one of joining me, it was just never the ethos. There was always a long-term goal. There was always a drive for relationships ahead of results. Yeah. And I think that has been testament to, the culture at the top that then filters down. And as you grow a business, really difficult to maintain that. But when you speak to our clients, it tends to be more true than not. We value the long-term partnership, and again, that is different to many other industries. When you talk about life sciences and how do you recruit into those markets, I think you've got to take a longer-term play on it. I think you've got to realise there's going to be ups and downs. Clients are going to go through good moments and bad moments. And you've got to be patient with it and be true to your values and your beliefs. And again, that has been true from the first day I joined me, and it's credited to yourself and Hannah and Paul in terms of the culture you created.
I want to touch on something that you said, sort of finding the right, one candidate might be right for one company but not for the other. I feel that's also the same with possibly the services we offer in terms of permanent recruitment, direct hire, and sort of contract, which is obviously a market that's very sort of affluent right now, but also talking about sort of exec searches and retained search as well. Sort of there are so many avenues that our clients, prospective clients, could go down. I feel sometimes not all those avenues are looked at. Could we just sort of talk about that quite for a bit?
Yeah, 100%. It's one of the best things about Meet is as we've grown, we've been able to add additional service lines to the way we recruit. And you're right, one size doesn't fit all. You've got to have different models for different needs. And the typical one is permanent contingency recruitment. That is what our bread and butter always was.
That's where we started, really. Yeah.
And we've been hugely successful at it. But the next layer to that was building a contract business, and look at the tour de force that is within our business. I think you took it a step further. What was it, 2020, when the partnerships team was first formed?
Yeah, we created partnerships, 2020, November 2020, to create the kind of ring fencing of these bigger accounts, which, essentially the strategy was to look at how we were managing these volume repeat business accounts, which just didn't fit into the rhythm of what a 360 recruiter acts and behaves like. 360 recruiters are constantly looking for their next win. Where's my next set of terms being signed? Where's my next BD win? And that's driven by management. That's driven by everyone who wants to keep expanding the business. So we need those BD wins to keep coming to grow the business. But what that meant was, the bigger volume accounts were probably getting left behind, getting left in the dust, not really being looked at. One person might be working with them quite well, but the other verticals weren't particularly interested. Hence why, partnerships was created out of that. But I agree with what Nick's just said there. It's vital. We can offer now such a wider range of service offerings than we could, in the first 5, 6, 7 years of our existence, really. When it was just perm or contract was really all we had back then. We've now got perm, contract, retained, executive search. We've got, program level recruitment, which is where your RPO aspects sit, and the kind of ring fencing of volume with certain clients. Embedded RPO, which is obviously actually physically having an outsourced Meet recruitment team in a client and physically sat at site, being part of that company, part of their systems, email addresses, etc. So all intents and purposes being that business. And then we've also got client services as well, which Nick has touched on, he's a part of, which is really saying all these service offerings really is where Nick's role's vital, and the client services team's vital to be providing that to a client, because Nick and the team can sit holistically on calls with clients, discuss with clients our full offering. Now, that's where 360 recruiters fall down. They're not versed. A perm regulatory affairs recruiter on 360 isn't versed at how to sell contract solution or an RPO solution, or to even identify when that might be a good offering. So that's why we've created, in the last year or so, the client services team, which is, has got a wealth of experience. Nick's obviously touched on his 11 years or so with us. We've got others who've got similar amounts, 10, 11, 12 years of recruitment history. They are a senior team who are coming into these clients and trying to look to, expand and make sure they're informed in the right way about the recruitment solution that is going to work for them in their scenario of hiring, whether that's one hire, whether that's 20 hires, whether that's mapping out 2024 and signing up to some program agreement. There's a real range of triggers and different kind of markers to go, okay, I think this solution works for you, or it is, I think permanent contingent is fine. You're hiring 3-4 people every quarter and they're spread out and they're markets we work, let's just do it like that.
And that's the great thing about it, is it makes my role infinitely easier. I don't really have to go and sell, I just have to understand and then make sure that we're delivering the right level of service to the right accounts. And honestly, there's some accounts where partnerships is absolutely the right model. There's others where you're much better off working with a really motivated and hungry 360 recruiter who's going to do a really good job on that one-off spot piece of business. There's other businesses where actually a discounted high volume project might be the right answer, and there is no right or wrong. And I love the way Meet's developed over the years that allows us to go and talk quite openly to clients about the ways we can support them. We almost offer a suite of services that allows them to discuss with us how best to support recruitment. Because, as I said, it doesn't have to be one way or the other. Yeah. We can blend our approaches. We can build teams up into partnership models. We can offer contract solutions alongside our permanent divisions, and that's where my role really comes in. Is making sure clients understand that we can make those connections to different parts of our business. We can introduce other services that perhaps they might not be aware of, which is most common. They're just not aware we do it, or they weren't aware we had strengths in those areas, and that's the key for me.
Do you find that sometimes our clients might not actually really know what kind of service that would work best for them?
Yeah, 100%.
All the time. Like, I think traditionally clients just view agencies in general as perm or contract. Maybe that's it. That's all you do. You just perm or contract recruitment. Now, what they don't often appreciate or realize is how you can create a win-win, as I talked about earlier, in that type of a solution. Because all we are doing is permanent or contract recruitment, whether it's an RPO, whether it's retained search, it is still permanent or contract recruitment, of course. But they're just little tweaks to the model that create a collaboration or a long-term partnership that everyone feels good about, us included, and the client gets a higher level of service for what is generally a similar-ish cost. It's not like RPO doesn't cost loads more, for example, but the way it's packaged up means that, there's an upfront cost and a commitment, and everyone's got skin in the game a little bit on that model. But then you recoup the cost down the line and reduce recruitment fees per hire. Whereas, obviously contingent or success-only recruitment, i.e. permanent, you're not guaranteed. You've not really got the partnership. It's one in, one out constantly, and there's no real kind of collaboration with that. So it's kind of like remodeling of perm or contract recruitment. So I agree. I don't think clients understand or recognise or know that until someone like Nick or myself or someone with the experience level to introduce that idea to them comes in and does that. And there's also, at the moment as well, only a month ago, I introduced a third-party vendor that we utilise for things like employment of record services, which is a kind of relatively new thing or newish thing, whereby we've introduced to a client who's traditionally hired a lot of contractors in Europe, right? Because they haven't got a site in Europe, they haven't got offices in Europe, so they can't hire permanent staff, or so they thought. So I then introduced a company who basically do like payrolling and employment of record solutions, which is whereby they can now, through my introduction and meetings and everything that we've done since then, they can now start to employ permanent staff in countries where they don't have an office through this third-party vendor. So again, there's like all this added value aspects that we can introduce and suggest, and that client in particular had no idea that was even an option, and they were spending through the nose on contractors for the last 10 years or so.
I'll give you an example. There's a client I've been speaking with recently. In the past 3 years, have gone from a single location office with 200 people to having 5 global offices at 2,200 headcount. IR, HR haven't had a chance to lift their heads above the parapet. It's been constantly go, go, go. So when you say, do they understand what model will suit them best? I don't think they've had a chance to breathe and think. And that's great. It is great, but sometimes it's always not the most productive way of working. It's very much because we've always worked like this is the way we'll continue to work. And actually stopping and pausing and speaking to clients and understanding about what their needs are, where their growth areas are, where the challenges have come from. Often it's really simple to spot how you can improve that. But it's having time. Like, everyone is busy in this world. Everyone is trying and fighting at the moment. And as Ali's alluded to, there is a significant shortage in skills within the life sciences industry. It's competitive out there. And sometimes you don't always have the time to stop and think about what you're doing. You just do what you've always done. Yeah. And if we can get that message out there that perhaps there's different ways of overcoming the same problem, I think companies would find huge amounts of benefit from it. Certainly from the examples we've had where we've gone and offered a slightly different service model, I think the feedback's been phenomenal.
Yeah. Even if they don't take the model, right? Even if for whatever reason, time, cost, quality, whatever comes into it, they appreciate the consultant, kind of consultancy approach, the insight that, that could be an option in 12 months, 24 months, whatever. And often, as everyone knows in sales, it's not the first time you introduce an idea that it's a buy, right? It is the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Now, the clients who don't take us up on some, more kind of structured, dynamic recruitment solution, one of our other service offerings, in 12 months' time, they could easily turn around to us and go, okay, we weren't ready then, but now we've found comfort with it over the last 12 months because you kept talking to us and told us, this is how it could work. And we have found the last 12 months really tough to hire. Let's give it a go. So we know, again, it's that mid to long-term aspect of things. That you're not going to win every pitch. We've done countless RPO and program level pitches in the last 6 to 12 months that you don't win, and they either don't choose us, which is fine. We learn from that and we try and evolve and work out why we didn't get selected, or they haven't gone down that solution, which is equally fine. But we have also won some, so it's the way it goes.
Yeah. I just want to, we talk about building partnerships an awful lot, and like I say, that's one of the things that makes us sort of special in terms of what we do and provide here. I'd just like to talk about sort of how effective and transparent communication between a client and us is sort of vital to that hiring process. It might feel at times when we're sort of probing for information, and it can get sort of quite intense, but it's just about finding exactly what our clients need, right?
I think it goes three ways. I think you've got to include candidates into that mixture as well, because we're an extension of our clients engaging with the candidate pool, engaging with the talent market, and we've got to be able to sell those stories. So whenever we're curious, whenever we're probing, whenever we're asking questions, we're doing it so we can become more informed and we can go out and really educate candidates. The vast majority of people we place into new roles are pretty happy and well looked after. I'd say about 10% are live applicants, live candidates, but the reality is most of our clients have their own job adverts, their talent teams, their human resources groups, where they do a lot of the proactive sourcing and they do a lot of the active candidate engagement. Where you should really utilise an agency is to go and engage with that passive candidate network, and it's so difficult to do that if you do not have the understanding, the knowledge, the awareness to be able to go and sell that story to a client. Put yourself in your own shoes. If I was to come to you and say, right, I've got an amazing role that is going to take you out of a really great job that you love within Meet Recruitment to go and work 2 doors down, you want to know why. We can't tell that story. There's no chance we're going to be able to engage that passive candidate pool. And that, for me, is why that partnership, that collaboration is so important, because otherwise we're sort of fighting with our hands tied behind our backs. We need that level of detail. Otherwise, all we're going to do is send you the same candidates that you've probably already seen, you've probably already interviewed, and you're probably not that keen on. An agency should be someone who goes and engages with that passive candidate pool, the ones that you can't engage with, you can't identify, you can't network with. And in order to do that, that's where that collaborative approach is really needed.
Yeah, I think, for me, over the years, every partnership I've seen fallen down is because of lack of communication, right? Either way, whether it's the client to us to the client, us to a candidate to us, everyone has a view on those certain things, and we're the middle person in everything, so we got to try and navigate all that and facilitate that and mediate a lot of that at certain times. But yeah, the better the communication can be, the more frequent, the more detailed, the more even no update is an update, right? I think that's the crucial thing that I would say to any client that may listen to this or not, whatever, right? No update is an update, and I think that's probably one of the biggest frustrations from a recruiter standpoint, is when a client goes missing for a week and a half just because there's no updates, they haven't bothered responding, but not knowing frustrates a recruiter. And it goes all ways, us as well. I think I've always prided myself when back in the day when I was on the phone recruiting, which is, 7 years ago maybe now, back in the day when I was recruiting, I always prided myself on my responsiveness, which is why I do think, and I still do now, but why I do think clients loved working with me and remember working with me. Not because I was necessarily placing all their jobs, not because I was being successful constantly with their roles, which I was to a degree, but not all the time. It was because I was constantly updating them, constantly responsive. They send me an email, I'll send them one back in 5 minutes. I haven't caught the candidate yet, but I'll let you know as soon as possible. Not just ignoring it until I've got an update, doing the thing that a client might do to us. Constantly back. And look, to be honest, that was 8 o'clock at night, sometimes 9 o'clock at night. That
the days of the BlackBerry and the red dots.
Yeah, the BlackBerry red dots, exactly. Yeah, you couldn't ignore the red dot flashing at you on the bedroom table.
I'm not going to look.
I can see it. It's flashing. Damn it. Those days. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's something that clients really value too, from what we can do as recruiters. So I would say it goes all ways, but control what you can control, right? In the world. And what you can control is how good your communication is, how good your responsiveness is for candidates as well as clients. A candidate's biggest frustration is what? Never get any feedback. Right? Classic. Constantly hear it, right? Now look, that's on us to improve, and the best recruiters do give feedback regardless of whether the client's gone missing on them, regardless of whether the interview didn't go very well. Whatever it is, right, the feedback will be there. That's what good recruiters do. And you never know, 4 years time, 5 years time, that candidate is in a management position, a director position, whatever position that they're in, a hiring capacity, And lo and behold, if you've done a good job for them, they remember you and they maybe want to work with you. You do a bad job for them, what happens? No thank you. Remember you didn't come back to me on those 3 jobs. I interviewed at 2 of them, and I'm not really interested in the candidate pool who come to us experiencing that.
And it's such a small world as well, isn't it? Everyone, although it's a big world, everyone knows each other in the life sciences industry.
For sure.
It's connected, and that experience for candidates and clients is so important. So communication is probably one of the most vital skills, I think.
Definitely, and I think as well, on this note, maybe a little bit away from communication, but on this note of like valuing every single candidate and thinking mid to long term, as I mentioned earlier, like so many people think so short term that they kind of value where a candidate is now rather than where they could be, if you know what I mean. Like, so essentially, people get more nervous talking to a chief medical officer, or get more nervous talking to a clinical ops director, and I get that. They're more senior, they think they've got more influence, power, whatever. However, you want to have the same value as talking to a CTA, as talking to a project associate, as talking to regulatory affairs associate, whatever junior levels you can think of. Because I guarantee, if you're in this as long as I am, and you've been in it as long enough to see this, that junior becomes the director of the business, becomes the CMO, becomes the chief clinical individual.
Try putting a BD call into someone he never called back because they were a junior candidate.
Yeah, exactly. So value every single individual. Now, you might not be able to place them in that moment, but give them a little 5-minute experience. Say I haven't got anything, recommend them a few things. A number of times I've recommended juniors, we've just gone, we don't do junior roles. Clients won't pay us to fill a junior CRA job, a CTA role, a project, whatever junior level you want to think of. But I'll take 5 minutes to talk to you and give you some recommendations. Google the top 10 pharma, look on their websites, put your applications in, do the generic application if you can't see a job that suits you. And the value that you get from that. Now look, I'm not saying they all come back to me and say in 5 years time and go, hey, I've got 5 jobs and do you want to work with me? That doesn't always happen. But you know what? Karma, things come back round. And value every single person that you're interacting with in the same way, regardless of what level they are, how much experience they have. And you'll be a success in recruitment.
I just want to round up with something that I think we're very proud of as a company, and obviously yourself as a founder, is that we're now a global business. We touched on Berlin, and obviously we have offices in New York, San Francisco and San Diego, which I've had the pleasure of going out to this year, and some of those offices are amazing in fantastic cities. But what use could it be to partner with a company like us who are a global business, who aren't just penned into one city in one country? What can we offer that maybe some other agencies can't in that respect?
It's so much. The life sciences industry is a global industry. There's very few businesses that only try and stay within a single region. If I look at some of our best client relationships, they've expanded across into global territories. It's why we've based ourselves where we are. Germany is the largest European life sciences hub. The New York business going into Boston, Massachusetts, that biotech hub, which is absolutely booming right now. You've got to be in the Bay Area. We have put ourselves in these locations strategically so we can support the clients that we partner with and we grow with. And the amount of times we work with a client on the East Coast that are looking to scale into the West Coast, a European business looking to launch into the US, having a global partner that understands those markets, understands those skill sets is so vital. And it's something I remember when I first started, we were just a London-based business, and dreaming of the day you could be able to go and sell that type of service to an organisation. I don't think you can doubt how important it is to have that level of reach, because our clients have the same challenges as we do. I remember talking to one client who was looking to launch into New York. They were a London-based business looking to launch into New York. We connected them with Hannah to speak from CEO to CEO, not to talk about recruitment, but just simple things about how do you open a bank account in America.
They make it very hard, trust me.
And it goes so much further than just recruitment expertise, but understanding how to build a business in a location, how to hire within a location, how to set yourself up from a compliance point of view in a specific location.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the cultural differences in those respects
I learned
as
a
well.
lot going to Germany. It's very, very different to the way we
massively
operate.
different. And then, obviously you realise that once you're in Berlin, and the culture is different, and certain clients want to work with the more localised agencies as well, which helps obviously with us being based there. I think back to your question there, Owen, like I think why would a company want to partner with a global agency like me? I think not only is it our ability as recruiters, 160 recruiters or so, spread across the 5 offices, each working in almost identical markets, translated across each office. So when you engage me on a search, whatever level that is, you're actually engaging more than one recruiter. You're engaging probably 7, 8, 9, 10 recruiters who are all doing ClinOps, or all doing regulatory, all doing medcoms, all doing whatever market it is, because our industry is a very transient one. It's one that people move a lot. We relocate people from Brazil to Spain, from the US to the UK, from whatever locations you can think of. So for us to have the reach already and the localized expertise that you can feed into can only help on some tricky searches, which generally clients approach us about. They don't normally give us the easy ones, unfortunately. Not very often. But also on top of that, the size of our business and the scope of where we've grown to, we've already touched on client services being a new area, partnerships. Equally the hub has grown, and our operations and our back office, support for a client has massively shifted in the last 2-3 years, really. We've now got an ISM team, Insights, Success and Marketing team. Knew I'd get that right. I had to memorise that. So we've got ISM team who are there to be externally facing with clients, to service with marketing materials, kind of data, industry insights. They recently wrote a white paper about women in life sciences, which has gone down overwhelmingly positively. And that's gone out to our client base and is hopefully pushing us as more than just a recruitment agency, but more a thought leader, whatever you want to call it, at the forefront of trying to impact change in the industry, not just sitting in our little recruitment bubble. And on top of ISM, you've got compliance. We've now got a global compliance team who can advise, as I touched on, about kind of EOR work, employment of record work, can advise on what do I need to do to have contractors in certain countries? What do I need to do to have a permanent member of staff here? Can I move someone from this country to this country easily? We do that all the time with clients to advise them and add value there. Now, I don't think smaller, less globally aware, agencies could offer anything like the level of additional service. Not just recruitment, but the additional package that goes with that. I would be surprised if there's many who can do what we can do and have the knowledge base involved in calls with clients. We did a pitch call with a top 15 biopharma 2 months ago. We had our global head of ops on it. We had head of ISM on it. We had head of compliance on it. We had me on it. We had a number of recruiters in their spaces on it. All on this one pitch call to present to this client. Again, I don't think you get that with a more localized level agency, to be able to be aware of the dynamics and the logistics and the compliance that goes into hiring in certain locations.
Yeah, 100%. It's moved past from the ability to just say, yes, we can recruit into that job, but it's more so in terms of, well, how can we actually help you refine your recruitment processes? How can we help you solve some of your recruitment challenges? And so that's where the services levels that we offer and the different service lines in terms of contract, freelance, permanent, partnerships, equally the geographical locations and which office we get to support, and then the technical skill sets and that we can recruit into. I think there's very few companies in the life sciences space at the moment that could make a really good pitch to say they're a one-stop shop. And I think Meet have definitely put themselves on the radar to be able to position ourselves as being a one-stop shop for all of your recruitment needs. which is a pretty impressive thing to say in quite a short period of time.
Yeah, when you verbalise it, it's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And we've got some amazing relationships with global companies who we do North America, we do Europe, we do further afield as well. Japan, Asia, Australasia. We've hired. Nick mentioned his first ever placement was in Australia. Yeah. Probably the only one he's ever done there.
They all count. They all
count. You always remember your first. Look, I like Nick, echo what Nick says. I don't think there's going to be many agencies who can boast that just in life sciences. We know many who have tried to go over to North America or come over to Europe, and they've just not been as successful. So, we're really proud of that. I'm really proud of that. I know Hannah's really proud of that. And I think, it filters down to obviously Nick and the senior leadership team, SLT, which there is a pride in our business about what we do, how we do it, make sure the quality's there, professional, and hopefully that kind of feeds out to the external partners that we work with.
I'd like to say thanks to you guys.
Sure.
Is that it?
I wanted more.
I just want to end with, as if you're a prospective client, sort of stumbled across this podcast, hopefully it's going to blow up and we'll be making that Joe Rogan money soon enough.
Compete with Joe Rogan.
Nick and Ali on it.
We should just do it every week.
We'll be on every week if you want.
Why not?
Regular.
Considering how tough it was to get us all in the same place at the same time for this one.
Good point. Give me one of these at home and you can do it wherever you want.
If you are, a client looking at this now and listening to what we're having to say and sort of maybe uncertain about how to approach, using a talent agency like ourselves, what would you say to them? What advice could you give them in terms of just, give us a call, that kind of thing?
Easy as that really. It's like, there's nothing to be scared of, right? And there's no commitment beyond having a conversation about it. Now, we'll listen to where your pain points are, as Nick touched on. We'll advise in a solution that we think is sensible for you, whether it's, again, time, cost, quality. Now, cost obviously is a big factor for a lot of our client base, so we'll look at that and try and make it as appealing as possible to a degree. But without having a conversation, it's nigh on impossible to necessarily say, how that could look. Outside of that, I think, hopefully, the conversation we're having today, hopefully if you've listened to that, we know life sciences. If you are a life science company right now looking to expand your business, you're uncertain how to do that, come chat to us, come chat to the team, come chat to client services, come chat to experienced people who have done this for years and years in our business, and we'll want to hear from you. We'll want to understand where the recruitment headaches come from, or maybe not even a headache, maybe it's an expansion plan that's really exciting, new thing. And we can be creative and structure something that works for that client.
Based on what you said in terms of it's the long-term play that we're here for. A phone call is not a commitment. As I said, the first priority for us is to understand what it is you need. So if there's any clients that are looking to hire or are looking at changing their current model or have got any particular pain points for whatever reason, give us a call and we can learn about where those challenges are or where the opportunities are. We can talk you through quite openly about the different levels of service, the different models we could put in place. We can talk through really practically about how that actually works, and we can give you some case studies to give you examples of what that actually means to you, because the reality is we're always getting sold to all the time. And we almost build these walls up and thinking, oh my God, they're just going to try and sell to me. Give us a call. I can guarantee we won't. We'll just try and listen and learn, and then we'll talk through how we can help, and the option's yours in terms of what you want to do in terms of taking advantage of that or not. But as Ellie said, we understand life sciences. We've got the global footprint, and if you want case studies, we've got an abundance of them, which we're really proud of.
And even if you just want one hire this year, that's fine. Like, we don't need the big pieces of business necessarily. We will take that on and we'll work that as hard as any. And we'll be creative with how that looks and the solution that we offer you for it. But whether it's 100 hires, whether it's one hire, we'd love to hear from the clients in our space. If you're unsure if you're in our space, give us a call anyway, right? We do devices, diagnostics, biotech, biopharma, pharma, CRO, consultancy,
CDMOs.
Yeah, CDMOs. The list goes on. Life science is such an expansive word, and it does mean different things for different people. So if you're sat there going, I don't know whether my business or my roles would be of interest to Meet, then we're very friendly people. we're not here to overly sell to you. We're here to be curious, understand, talk, and hopefully put a solution forward in recruitment terms that works, that creates a win-win, right? Again, we're here for the long term. We want partnerships. We don't want, one in, one out of your business, get one little role and move on again. If you only hire one role in a year, that's fine. But, we certainly would like to be the agency of choice going forwards for any of those clients.
That's invaluable insight, and I can't thank you guys enough for giving me your time and having this chat. I was thinking, who do we get on next? I was thinking it'd be nice if we could stitch up Russ over in Berlin. I think
stitch up. What's he like in front of the camera? He'll clam up.
Russ will pant and sweat. Sweat a lot.
Yeah.
Who else could we get? Have you done any in America yet?
Yeah. So we had Banksy on. He was obviously fantastic.
Banksy
he just stepped in front of camera.
He would have loved the camera.
Turned it on naturally.
Have you had Anton on yet?
I think Anton's my white whale. He's the Moby Dick. Him and Hannah at the same time. Yeah, him and Hannah at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't put Anton and Russ together.
Anton and Hannah, you won't have them stop talking. Anton will talk, and then Hannah will just sit there trying to get some words in.
Listen, guys, I can't thank you guys enough, and obviously the insights are always fantastic. I'm sure I'll be trying to get you guys on at some point.
Whenever, honestly, daily, weekly podcasts, I'm there.
Yeah, tell us what happens to the stats. Who was your last guest?
So the last one was Mina and Callum.
Okay, fine. If we beat them, we'll come back.
The New York one is doing pretty well.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
But it's the accent.
How can we market this one more? What can we do?
We'll just push it hard.
Get it on your social.
Paid promos. Get it targeted.
Instagram.
So Ali, if you talk to the camera and just tell them where to get it on your TikTok, get it on your Insta.
It's going to come up under here. Where you can find.
Do you remember we all created Meet Twitter accounts thinking that's where the world was going to go? X now.
At Ali_Meet.
At Nick_Meet.
We did do that, yeah.
I remember being on the planes to Berlin at 6 a.m. tweeting, on the flight to Berlin.
Didn't go very far.
Or 3 followers.
Who were like Ali and a few other guys who were.
We'll put it through the Meet social channels rather than ours. It didn't go far.
We just hit 400,000 likes on LinkedIn, which is a huge thing for us, and that 500,000 is sort of like just a couple of
probably. Let's just push this podcast out to them then.
Yeah.
Guys.
Don't worry about my 100 Instagram followers. They're not important.
We'll avoid that. Let's go there.
So join us next week, where hopefully we'll have probably Russell. We'll see what happens. But thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.